All right. Good morning today. It is morning here in South Korea and Asia, and good evening for those in the United States. All right. So currently, things are back down to level 2 here in South Korea. So what's going on here is for level 2, we are still able to go places. The bars are now have no curfew, so that thing is still in place till the 27th of September. So that is what's going on right now. So we have to see after the 27th if South Korea are gonna push their levels up to restriction or be free, because next week we do have a Korean holiday, the Korean Thanksgiving called Chuseok, starting on Wednesday, the 30th. So that's what we're looking at right now. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Okay, so Aztec, good morning. So there's people are just trickling because I know some like was it friend Jenny is streaming right now. And Thomas, good morning, here living in South Korea. And Aztec gives his regards. So that's a cool thing here. And another thing, the weather has been really nice. So I've been so happy with that. And yes, Mr. Bia. So welcome to the stream today. So today I really look forward to talking about this topic, because we know there's been a lot of that, hashtag cancel Korea going on, hashtag sorry to Filipinos, sorry to the Philippines. So I wanted to bring some things that happened in that war, because I've actually watched a few documentaries, did a lot of research last night. So I wanted to, share some of that information, what happened. So, and if any of you are really into history or have knowledge about this, yeah, feel free to add your 2 cents to the stream here. Yeah, interesting topic. Yeah. And there's been a lot more, even before Vin, and oh yeah, welcome to the stream. Even before this hashtag cancel Korea and all this stuff, there's been a lot of videos lately about the Philippines' involvement in the Korean War, and I've known about it for almost 3 or 4 years. It's just that I really haven't looked into it since the past 2 years. And I've been able to learn a lot more of it when I went to the Korean War Museum. So, yep. So everyone's giving their morning thanks. All right. So let's get to it. Yeah. And I wanted to get to it right here. So the first thing, as to reiterate how this thing started, it started on, excuse me, June 25th, 1950, where the Communist North attacked South Korea. So that's what happened. Yep. And Jose, how you doing? My fellow Dodger fan, welcome to the stream. So I want to break this down. How did this start? So the invasion has already happened. So South Korea, North Korea is at war now. South Korea is surprised, pretty much. They weren't prepared for this. So in 2 days, North Korea have taken over the capital city of Seoul. It's already been captured after 48 hours. So with all that going on right now, okay, the United States sends forces, and all the other UN are sending forces. Okay, but I want to break this down here. So, President Quirino on January 22nd, 1951, in the Philippines, under Republic Act 573, sent 5 battalions, which is a total of 7,420 officers and soldiers. And here's the thing about this. Truthfully, the Philippines had no business even coming. They didn't even need to come because remember, it was just almost 6 years ago or 5 to 6 years ago that, World War II just ended in 1945 after, the United States and the Allied forces said, hey, we want unconditional surrender from Japan. Well, the Philippines was still recovering from that devastation. So they had no business even coming. But President Quirino said, we're going to go. And you know what? The Philippines just volunteered. Even if they're part of the UN, they took the initiative to come. They took the initiative to say, we're going to go to South Korea, which I never knew about. I thought they were asked to come. All these years, I thought they were asked to come, or it's like, please come. No, they were not even asked or forced to come. They just went. They just said, the heck with this, we're coming. So a brave 7,420 officers and soldiers says, we are going. Yeah. So yes. And Bia. So I read one account of those surviving Filipinos recently. Very interesting. He said he must have killed at least 300 advancing enemies. Yes. Yes, he did. Bihang, man, you're awesome. I'm gonna cover that. That is in the agenda. All right. But I'm gonna add that to the fact. He sent his sons. He actually made that speech. President, Quirino. He says, before I send the rest of you, I will send my sons first. So he sent his son and his son-in-law because President Quirino, he's a widow because his wife and 3 other kids died by the arms of the Japanese Imperial Army. Just in case you didn't know that. That was the part I was kind of like, wow, because he actually has 5 kids, but 2 of them are only surviving, the son and his son-in-law who married his daughter. So his daughter, in this case, was the first lady in this situation. So because he's a widow, I was thrown off. But yeah, and I don't remember Zach's word, but he said he was sending his only son. Yep, son and son-in-law. So that was one of the craziest things I heard because which leader of a country would ever risk his own son? Because, if usually when you're very wealthy, and this is even the case in America where, some of the soldiers that went to Vietnam, there was 1 or 2. It's like that movie, well, there's Platoon where, you're a rich college kid coming here, who does that, or who sends his son, or, Storm, I forgot the movie, but yeah. So here's the little quote here. So this is the thing I took off. The move is the Philippines' answer to the call of the UN, but the UN never called upon them. They just did it for armed assistance in thwarting the communist North Korean invasion of South Korea. And here you go, Biha. Quirino sent his son and his son-in-law, Tomas and Victor Gonzalez. So let me show you a picture of them. There they are. So take a look. Yeah. So there is Victor on the left, And there's Thomas on his right, and then the man is President Quirino. So yes, he sent his two sons. So that was the part I was impressed about when I was doing the research here about Quirino and his sons. And I'm going to throw this at you guys. Both the sons were like, yo, yeah. Wow, you even have the photos. Yeah, I struggled to find this photo, Bia. I couldn't find it till I went into the Facebook group. But this is at the Korean War Museum in Seoul. So, yeah. But here's the thing. Of course, at first, the son and son-in-law were just scouts. They were just doing recon. But here's the thing. Those sons could have had it easy. Both the son and son-in-law. They could have been kept behind a desk during the whole war. But you know what those sons wanted? They're like, no, you put me in the action. I need to meet this head on. I need to be there. I need to help lead this men. Which I was kind of like, I gave him respect for that because, he wanted the respect of his father and even for the son-in-law. He wanted the respect. And I respect that, what his son says. He had to beg the officers to say, I want some combat action. Instead of, he goes, I can't hide behind a desk. So he had to go out there and get some action. He wanted to be in the thick of things. And believe me, a lot of them were in the thick of things in, the Korean War. So it was quite amazing about the two sons. So, yeah, I was watching the documentary about it. But what I'll do is at the end of the stream, I will post a link to that documentary in case you guys want to see some more. But there's a 32-minute documentary. But yeah, I was very impressed with what his sons wanted to do. So it is just wow. Yeah. So I'm just really enjoyed the story. Yeah, Nipbom, welcome from good old California. Yeah. And Big Dave, hello, everyone from Jersey. Yeah, Dave, I saw you on Jenny's stream. Yeah, because I was just coming over from Jenny's. So, whew. So, yeah, so there's the start of the Philippines coming into South Korea, contributing to South Korea. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty. So, here's the one thing. But before I do, I want to maybe show some pictures because there's a reason why I want to show a picture of this. So there is President Quirino. So he actually died in 1956. So he was president till 1953. So he pretty much was there during the Korean War. So here's the first one. So this is the big one. This is the ones that I see tons of videos about. Is the 1951. So massively outnumbered. The 10th Battalion. Yeah. So Battalion Combat Team. That's what BCT stands for. So the Philippines unit only had 900 men. They say 1,000, but it's actually 900. So there was a night attack. And remember, China was involved because China was afraid that they were going to go into the borders of China, the United States, later on. So that's why China sent their forces to North Korea. The Chinese army had 40,000 men at the Battle of Yeotdong in North Korea. But Yeotdong it's not in North Korea. Just FYI, I think it was not worded correctly. Yeokdong is still in Seoul. It's below Seoul and Songnam. So, yes. And I'm going to show you a picture of one of it. So, yes. So, there's the number. It says 1,000, of course, for the YouTube. So, yeah. It was 1,000 versus 40,000 men. Yes, the Battle of Yeokdong. This was one of the deciding factors of the war for that Philippines army to be there. So in my other video, when I sent a message to Jitler about this, where, he stated that because of something the TikTok artist Bella Porch had on her arm, and he decided to get stupid and disrespect the Philippines flag, I mentioned to him that, look, without the Philippines, we might not be sitting here right now in South Korea. This place I'm sitting in right now, yeah, here where I'm sitting, I might not be here, thinking about this battle right here. I think about this more and more, just like everything I think about my parents immigrating to the United States, where I was born in America. I think about this way more than ever. I don't know. I kind of sometimes obsess over it, where a certain period of time where if something didn't happen correctly, yeah, it was only 9, not 1,000. Yeah. I think about those things, I think about, now we could go far as back as, if you guys, know World War II real well, the Battle of Midway. Because imagine if Japan took out our carriers in the United States. What if they knocked out all of our aircraft carriers? Guess what? It'll be like that Amazon movie series, Man in the High Castle. If any of you guys seen that on Amazon, I recommend seeing Man in the High Castle, where the Axis won World War II, and the United States was no longer the United States. It was Germany and Japan on the Pacific. They ran the United States. And that could have been the possibility. That could have been the end game. So, I think about these things, and you don't know about it till you study this. But yeah, I watched a big documentary on Midway. We had to win Midway, or else we would have never made it into the Pacific. So yeah, but we were totally outnumbered. The Philippines army was totally outnumbered. And this battle right here was the turning point for the Allies to turn the tide of this war. So that was one of those things, man, what if the Philippines didn't show up? And Philippines were the first Asian country to come. They landed in Busan and moved their way up. While President General MacArthur went after, landed in Incheon and made the attack there. So we cut the supply lines off. That's what the reason why, this is the argument General MacArthur had with the president of the United States. Like, look, why are we going to be stupid and fortify our defenses in Busan? We can't. It's stupid. It's not going to, our defenses could hold up for so long. So by going to Incheon, we cut off the supply line. But still, in 1951, most of the territory was still owned by the North in 1951. And yeah, it was a pivotal point of the war. Yeah. So yeah, it's a big pivotal moment. So this battle, I think about this a lot. What if the Philippines army did not show up? Because here's the thing. Yes, America showed up. But here's the thing. That one thing I learned, because I was a little ignorant. I'm thinking, America, yeah, nobody can do anything on America. We're the police country of the world. Well, here's the thing. Here's a real truth. America can't do it alone. America needs the UN. America alone couldn't do what they did in North Korea without the Philippines Army, without the other UN nations. So that's the one thing, my eyes are starting to open up over the years. Like, nope. Yes, like especially here in South Korea, yes, we do need America and the UN to maybe help with the DMZ, but they can't do it alone. Okay. So, and just because we're mighty America, no, we can't do it alone. Yep, and Incheon was the second U.S. incursion into Korea. Yeah, that was a needed attack there. So that was the needed attack to get our supply lines in check. So, man, yeah. So when I watch so many videos on the Battle of Yeotdong, what the battalions, the side stories about this, it is nuts. It is so nuts. Now, let me tell you what the result is. So this is a great Filipino victory. It helped deny the communists the decisive victory that would have ended the Korean War with their complete conquest of South Korea and the destruction of the UN Council. So, wow. And this was my thought, like, U.S., the UN nations, they would have had no time to fortify their defenses without the Philippines Army. So now I add this to my grave. Without America and the rest of the Philippines, including, and the UN, my existence wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this live stream. Even if I have about 10 or 15 of you here, I wouldn't be able to tell this story. Because I might be, if I did exist, my new leader would not be, President Moon Jae-in. It'll probably be Grand Marshal Kim Jong-un, dear leader Kim Jong-il, great leader Kim Il-sung. I mean, that could have been that next possibility, And I don't think it would have maybe be like Vietnam where, Ho Chi Minh, wasn't as crazy as these guys are. Because, look at Vietnam. We can go into Vietnam. We're allowed to live in Vietnam. But will we be able to live in the Republic of Korea? What these guys, the neighbors for the North, would allow anybody to come into Korea? I mean, I do think about those things. And now the Battle of Yeotdong, here's the thing. Look here. You know who retreated? The UK, the Turks retreated. The Puerto Ricans even retreated. The only unit to stay are the Philippines Army. Yep. Those 900 men stayed and held the line. Yeah. So they held the line. Yep, and the Chinese were proxy fighters for the Soviet who felt that Korea should be divided and occupied as spoils of war like East Berlin after the Japanese were defeated. Yeah, so that's right there. So, yeah. But this part I did not know going back to the Battle of Yeotdong. I didn't know the Philippines Army stayed. They had no business to stay, but they stayed and held the line. So, I mean, these are the men that, made that difference for us all over, my existence. I think about this. What would happen to my existence today? That's why now I get more fascinated with like World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War. Everything happens for a reason, So, whew, yeah. So let's see. I have more pictures. Let me show you the monuments in yeah. So there's the monument for those. at the Korean War Museum. So now they have a monument available. Yeah. So, yep. So if you go to the Korean War Museum, you will get to see this. Now, the monument. Actually, I went in 2014, and the Philippines monument wasn't there. But I went last year in 19, it was there. So I think in 2018, they put the credit to the Philippines in there. Took them all these years, which I didn't even know that. I was kind of like, what? It took you this long to recognize the Philippines Army and their contribution to Korean War? Seriously? So, yeah, I didn't even know that because I was a little dumbfounded because I already made 2 trips there. And I was like, Philippines Army. Wow. So I was sending that, picture off, like, look, send it to my girlfriend. Look, So, and I knew about it about 3 or 4 years ago, but I didn't know the full details. I didn't look into it till now. So, wow. Yeah. All right, here we go. Yes, China Dave, great salutation, great people, and good morning. Yep, welcome to the stream. And yep, Bia, Puerto Ricans withdrew and got overwhelmed by the Chinese on the western side. Yeah, so they just had to roll out because they just couldn't hold. So that's what happened. Yeah, there's another Philippines monument with names. Not sure what city in Korea. Yeah, it might be in Busan. I'm not sure. So I have to check. Yeah, Filipinos were fearless, resistant fighters in the Philippines during the Japanese occupation. Some good stories of defiance and bravery online. Yeah. So, yeah, actually, I forgot. There's a YouTuber named Max. I think his name is Max Reaction. I'm not sure if that's the right YouTube name. He does reaction videos about the Philippines military. He's married to a Filipina and has a kid with her, and he lives in Cebu. So, yeah, he does all kinds of like military stuff about the Philippines Army. So he does like a real good reaction videos about that. So, yeah, I was like really impressed with his videos. Now, yep, so that's the size. I think when you first enter, this is what you're going to see. I think right in the entrance. So I don't know if that looks like the one I saw at the Korean War Museum, because I remember seeing something. Or there's one inside a little dome cave. So this is one of the pictures of the monuments that you can go see there. So, yeah. Yep, Roy, welcome. Yep. Happy to, help throw some knowledge and not just me, but happy that even the rest of you are assisting in this, or back, forth, vice versa. So thank you for, giving this nice information for rest of you and attending the stream. So, yeah. So I'm trying to make it not my lecture, but just pass on some good stories and information. Because, at least like if, you have the goal to go to the Philippines, at least, you get some knowledge of the contributions of what the Philippines is about and, what they actually contribute around the world. Yeah. I found out about it from a beautiful Korean woman on her blog. Wow. So, yeah. So they're doing a lot. Yeah. And of course, yeah, in the past, like, what is it? 2 months, all of a sudden, it's been like coming up about Philippines contribution. And then in the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden, like, there's that one blogger, Jessica Lee, who lived in the Philippines almost all her childhood life. She started putting out videos about that war, the Battle of Yotong, and the reaction. Yes, and learn history or be condemned to repeat it. Yes, that's the thing. Learn it. If you learn it, you can not do the same thing that's happened in the past. So, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this. All right, so let's see. I'm going to And wash hands, wash hands. Hello, babe. Welcome to the stream. So let's see. Did I miss? Oh, there's another thing. I want to move on to the dates. Okay, now we're going to move forward to 1952. So this is the 19th Battalion Combat Team emerges victorious after a fierce. This is a 4-day battle to defend Hill 191 at Hill Erie. So this glory battle for combat outpost number 8 inflicts heavy losses on the Chinese. So this was a good one. Yes. So this and I'm going to show you a quick map here of Erie Hill. Now, Erie Hill is in North Korea. So we're already into the North Korean territory. So Erie Hill, and then they have a Pork Chop Hill, which is on your bottom left if you're looking at the map. So Pork Chop Hill. So this is the whole position of Erie Hill, and the Philippines Army was victorious. So let me tell you, the triumphant Filipino plants the Philippines flag in the summit of Hill 191 to proclaim their victory over the Chinese. So that is what happened. So they have proclaimed victory. Yes. So victory was proclaimed. Yes. Okay. That's why General MacArthur said, give me 10,000 Filipino soldiers and I'll conquer the world. Yes. I actually was going to cover that, but thank you. So that's yeah, that was awesome too when I saw that quote. Yeah, General MacArthur. So, yeah, and another thing is, I said in the past, like in CDO, Cagayan del Oro, they have a place where MacArthur landed there. Of course, what I was disappointed is the place was locked up, and this was pre-COVID, and I wanted to go there and see the place, take a picture, take a video blog of that place. But I did not get to. It was locked. I tried to take a picture, but it didn't come out so well, so I couldn't see it as well. Yeah. Yep. So she must be Jessica Lee. She grew up in the Philippines. Yeah. So, yep, she grew up. Now she's back in Korea going to university. Yep, Dave gives regards to my girlfriend. I'm not sure, but as I'm having a Joe Biden moment. Yeah. And Johnny, finally, welcome to the stream. All right, so I need to go back, see if I'm missing anything. Erie Hill. Okay, now I want to talk about this gentleman here. I'm going to show you a picture of the president, Fidel V. Ramos. He is the Philippines president from 1992 to 1998. Yes. That gentleman who fought. Yeah. I'm going to put his information. I did not even notice about FVR. Of course, we have FDR, our president in World War II. But in the Philippines, we have an FVR. And I did not know this about President Ramos. He's a West Point graduate. Yeah, he went to West Point. How badass is that? West Point. That's so impressive. I mean, to graduate from West Point, Wow. So, yeah. And, he was at the time during the Korean War, President Fidel Ramos was, well, he wasn't president yet. He was just an officer, a lieutenant, a first lieutenant. And he was asked to go into to take out what is it? An area where I don't know if it's on Erie or Christmas Hill. He went on Christmas Hill with 44 men to take out this one trench area of Chinese. So he took a bunch of snipers and he did a lot of reconnaissance with his 44 men, and he took them out. So that was very impressive about Fidel Ramos. Yeah, that's why the Philippines name a street after General MacArthur. Yeah, good vibes. And yes, it's Jessica Lee. Yeah. So she does a lot of blogs. I've been following Jessica Lee for a while. So, yeah, so that was so impressive about Fidel Ramos. Yeah, just a good leader just to go right in. So I'm not surprised why he became Philippines president. Okay, now going back to this here. So this is the Battle of Christmas Hill. Yeah, ends in victory for the 14th Battalion. It is one of the last battles and UNC victories in the Korean War. So the Philippines Army is the last to have a victory. That was the last victory in the Korean War, even if we want to call it a victory or not, because the end game was as of today, it's split into the 38th parallel. Well, that's where it is. And if you're looking at that map, that's the split, the 38th parallel right there. So that's where the end game split happened. So that is what really went down. So that was the crazy part. All right, Bob Sears, welcome to the stream. So everyone's giving their greetings here. That's right. Always give those greetings. Okay, Johnny, I went to camping Utah Mall to camp for a few days. That's why I missed King's show. Yeah, no problem. Always enjoy your life, That's why I have a reap. You can always catch me at the back end. Yeah, so I love it here. So all the regards. So yeah, loving it. So let's see. So yep. So yeah. Okay. Yep. So just remember that was the last battle, June 1953. And then let me go back to the map. I'm going to get rid of this banner. Okay. Yeah. So there's that map there. Now, the crazy thing is that map, that's where pretty much everything at. Now you see a date on the upper right, July 10th, 1953, or July 27th is when everything ended. Now I didn't know this because, that armistice was signed, I think on July 27th is where everything ended. Well, there was a movie. I forgot what the movie was called. It was a Korean movie called, is it Comrades or Frontline? And of course, the movie was about an officer, a South Korean officer had to go investigate a unit to see if there's any treason going on or any, messing around going on or communist spies in the unit. Well, what it turns out is because, that Christmas Hill or, the 38th parallel, each day it's like this. North Korea takes it, South Korea take it, back and forth. So in that movie, I think Frontline is what it's called, they have, they send each other like gifts. So the first time as a gag, the first two times, they would like stash their like liquor and stuff. One time they all took a dump. So they were like going through manure getting the stuff as a joke. So after a while, what was happening is those one group of North Korean soldiers, a small group of friends and South Korean friends, they were switching like goods. So when North Korea took it, they can dig up the trench and there's like South Korean or Hershey's chocolate. And then the vice versa, the North Koreans would, in exchange, give them stuff in the trench. So the South Koreans will have to keep digging it. So I think it's Frontline was the movie. It's what it's called. So because I didn't know this in the fact, they were going back and forth. Okay. And then they signed the armistice. So, and during the movie, they would run into each other like, hey, war's over. It's cool, right? Everything's okay. Then, because the armistice was signed at a certain date, they had 14 hours left. So they said, guess what? We're going to war for 14 more hours. So, yeah, Nick Martin, thank you for coming. So here's the disgraceful part. So countless men's lives were lost for no reason for 14 hours. 14 grueling hours. What the heck for? This movie kind of pissed me off at the end. Like, we wasted a lot of people's lives for no reason. So during the movie, they're fighting. Okay. Of course, at the part, the two main characters meet at the end of the movie, even if it's a fictional movie. But I could see this happening really in the Korean War too, and they're fighting with knives on each other. Oh! And then the radio goes, "Stop all fights. The war is over. Honor the agreement. Stop all." There's a radio signal. Stop all battles. I'm just like, and then the two men stop fighting and they just start laughing. And that's how the movie kind of ends. Sorry for the spoiler alert, but there's other parts of it I didn't tell you, which is still good in the Korean cinema. Now, why did they stop at the 38th parallel? Why didn't they drive them out to China? Well, because China was there to kind of keep things, as Thomas said, they were the proxy. That's why that's what happened. And of course, there's that other argument where General MacArthur's like, yo, let's keep pushing. But, what always happens? Congress, politics, just like the Vietnam War, we would take land and give it right back. So it was, that's what pretty much happens, politics come into play. Yeah, and it was Filipino soldiers that fought and died in Korea during the Korean War to save South Korea was overtaken of North Korea and China so that Koreans can now have a comfortable life. Yeah, so one of these, now I'm not saying that all Koreans are pricks. Majority of Koreans are thankful. It's for those few ignorant ones that want to talk down and look down on the Philippines. I was like, and this is a few guys here. I'm like, you idiots, you wouldn't exist without the Philippines. You morons, you wouldn't exist without the Philippines. Think about that before you talk smack about a country like Philippines, And, now I'm even more thankful. Besides the United States, I'm thankful to the Philippines. I think about this more. As I said earlier in the stream, I'm obsessed over this stuff, It's just so fun. But they credit it to the United States. Yeah, and that's what, now years later, because that's all we know, especially if you're an American, watching on the stream. Yeah, America, we did it. No. And, I had the same ignorance, but that's all we knew. And now to find out that, oh my goodness, America couldn't win this war without the Philippines or without the UN. It's crazy, to know that the Philippines, now they're getting credit like just 2 years ago in the Korean War Museum. It's sad. And yeah. And, Filipinos can't freely come into South Korea. It sucks, And, of course, this could be another live stream, but, let's go back I'm going to just cover this for a split second. I don't want to get away from what the topic is, but don't. When we remember Hitler, World War II, and the Jews he murdered, the Jewish people he murdered. Well, you know who's the only country to take them in as refugees? It's wait for it, the Philippines. And so Israel and Philippines, they have a super great relationship. And another thing is, if you have an Israeli passport, you get 60 days in the Philippines. So if any of you are Jewish from America and you have an Israeli passport, FYI, 60 days. Thankfully, my dad made it out, or I would. Yeah. And you think about these things, some of us wouldn't be in existence if, for some of you that have fathers that fought in a Korean War, or Vietnam or any war. So, yeah, it's always a thought. You think about those things, You always think about those. Yeah. And 13 countries were there. Yeah. So the UN. Yes, indeed. Yeah. MASH wouldn't exist too. Yeah. The show MASH. So, yeah. MASH wouldn't be, yeah, seriously, even if it's a comedy show, MASH would not be able to set up their little hospital there, There would be no show. So, yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. The story of Jewish people in the Philippines. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't even know that till I started following this one YouTuber. He's in CDO, the Traveling Clat, I think, because he's Jewish American. He's the reason why I know about the 60-day visa. The question, I wish I could ask him, but he doesn't even do live streams. I would say, do you have an Israeli passport? So, yeah, and Philippines Battalion 19 Bloodhounds were attached to U.S. 1st Battalion Big Red 1. So history gets miswritten. Yeah, so there is miswritten. Yep, and Bob is doing good. Do Filipinos get 60 days? I think they get at least 30. I know Filipinos can go into Israel. I don't know if it's 30 or 60, but I was figuring because of the reciprocity, they might get 60. I would figure they would. That's not my assumption, but if one of you find that information before this stream's over, let us know. So anybody that has an Israeli passport, it'll be useful for them. They're like, oh, yay, I'm coming to Philippines. It came up lately too. Other countries refuse entry to Jewish people fearing persecution. Philippines welcomed that. Yeah. Now, Nit, there's even another information that people don't know is because, Philippines was under Japanese occupation. Before that, we had the United States because, during the Spanish-American War, they had that issue. But you know who voted and pushed for their independence out of all the UN nations? Israel. It was Israel that pushed for their independence. They're the ones that were the forefront. So now you kind of see why Israel is really welcomed even more in the Philippines. So they have that, yeah. And another great president smuggled Jewish people to Philippines, and I don't remember his name. That's right. I remember hearing about that because it was one of the presidents from the Philippines. I don't know which one that helped make that move for a lot of Jews that are trying to flee Hitler and his regime. So there's so many things coming up. Yeah. I really appreciate your time to clear issues about war. Yes, Filipino soldiers remained while the others retreated. Yeah, they stayed. That's the part that really, resonates with me, So Truman, I believe. Yep, Harry Truman. So that's the part that, yeah, I didn't know that the others retreated, and you know, and they stayed. So yeah. And Nippon is the 3 countries in 2 days. Yeah, Philippines, Thailand, South Korea, also known as Aztec and Phuket. Yeah, yeah. Is there any Jews area in the Philippines? Actually, that's a good question, Nippon. I don't know. The only reason I know any Jewish people, I don't want to say Jews too much because sometimes that could be offensive. Uh, I remember the only one I know is Traveling Clat, but I don't know. I don't know if he mentioned there was a. I'm gonna have to go check his channel again. I'll probably ask him myself. I'm sure there is a Jewish community, probably in Manila, because Manila usually have lots of communities, being the capital of the Philippines. But I'm sure it's there. But if someone finds that information out, yeah, pass that information along. So, whew. But yeah, but I really love this subject about this. So yeah, and the second time I went, I was happy to see that they finally recognized the Philippines in the Korean War Museum. So yeah, that was an inside joke. Okay, Nippon and I have shown up in the 3 seemingly unrelated live streams over the past 2 days. Yeah, I know. At Broker, I saw you over we were hanging out at Jenny's earlier. So many live streams. So, yeah. Let's see. Now, I have something to show here. I want to recognize. So, here are the 5 battalions I wanted to recognize. So, these were the 5 battalions which were about 7,420 officers and soldiers. So, I want to, in a way, this is to honor these 5 battalions. So, in honor of that been there, so wanted to just all of us honor the 2nd Battalion Combat Team, the 10th Battalion Combat Team, 14th Battalion Combat Team, the 19th and the 20th Battalion Combat Team. So these were the 5 that went to help South Korea out of their own will, not coerced, not asked. They just did it. No one asked them. It's kind of an indicative of how the Filipinos culture is, very welcoming. Yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah. The credit should go to Filipino soldiers who fought and died for your country. Yeah. So, yeah. And now the Korean War Museum, Eliza, now I did see some names there. So that's one of the things. I just didn't have too much time, but if I can get back out there to the Korean War Museum, I'm going to try to maybe film that part. That's going to be the more important part to me, because since I do cover Korean and Philippines content, I would like to take a video and get the names on the video, or take a picture and have everything put in a video. That would be really fun to give them credit for that. Yeah. Yeah, they should help the Philippines out in COVID situation. Yeah, they need. Yeah. Now, of course, I heard that they did send masks parts. So, they did something minimal, but yeah, they should. They need the help. Yes, there's a synagogue in Manila. Okay, so there is some, especially in Manila. So, yeah, this is the 5 battalions that went. And, of course, they're now part of my existence, Does Korea give to the Philippines? They gave some masks, so they give here and there, but nah, that's the only news I heard. Yeah. And let's see. I would like to find my uncle's name, but he was in Busan. So, yeah, we got to make our trip to Busan. I'm kind of been working on that, Thomas. So I'm trying to plan something where we'll take the train to Busan, and hopefully we don't get eaten by zombies on the way there. And because we'll be taking the KTX. So I'm working on that plan right now. I'll let you know if we can figure out a plan to get down there. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, dang. Phone, small buttons, big finger. Yeah. Happens to me too. So let's see. I wanted to do something here. It was during the Korean War that the Filipino soldiers replicated their bravery in combat against all odds, which they showed during Second World War, that prompted General Douglas MacArthur to say these. What's these famous words? Give me 10,000 Filipinos and I will conquer the world. Yeah. I always hear good stuff about the Philippine Special Forces and the military. So, yeah. And I love going to watch Mac's reaction. So that's one thing. Oh, let's see. Oh, didn't arrive. Are you kidding me? My private chat, my links are gone. I was going to link the documentary, but my links are not around. So that's what happened. So 10,000 soldiers. So, yeah. And I want to show this picture. I did show this earlier because some of you came late. I wanted to so earlier, this is President Quirino and his son and son-in-law. So his son is right of him. The man in the middle is his actual son. And then the other son-in-law is married to his daughter, who is the first lady because her widow died. So, yeah. So this president, I give a lot of credit to, which is very brave, to say, I'm going to send my son first, and that's what he did. And both his sons survived, the son-in-law. Of course, the problem is I had a hard time finding information on, let me give you the names. I had a very hard time finding, let's see, where it is. Okay, because there's Tomas Quirino. He died in 1986, and Victor Gonzalez is still around, but there's no more information on this. Sounds like he lives a very private life, because when I look up Victor Gonzalez, there's another Victor Gonzalez who is a famous Filipino actor. So that's the only Google search that comes out. So there's not much about him. The son-in-law, because he's married to, the daughter of the president. So that's all the information I could find on them. But that was nice that, both of them side by side went to war together. So those are one of the things that, I was impressed with. So, yeah, so I really enjoyed doing research on this. I was up till almost 4 a.m. And I was kind of obsessed in finding more information on the son-in-law. So, all right. Well, if you have any last minute comments or questions, I will take them before I run on over to my $4 all you can eat. So feel free if you have any more questions about this or any information that I might have missed about the Filipinos' participation in the Korean War, because I hope to cover as much as possible. But if you have something where, could benefit us, feel free to put it out there, or else I'm going to get going and eat some food because I am dying already. So here's a funny thing. I did not get to drink much of my iced coffee. It's been sitting here. So, my big 800 milliliter iced coffee from Daiso. So that is one of the things. All right. So I made it to the 1 hour mark. So, all right. Well, here's the game plan. if I can get my video done, I'll try to put a premiere. If not, I will be. Another thing is I am live streaming my Dodger post games on this channel, but I'm just doing it for till the Dodgers are done. So and if I decide to do that live stream for the Dodgers, I'll probably make another channel next season. But just FYI, don't get frightened if all of a sudden like, hey, why are you doing baseball all of a sudden? So yeah, so I do do all of that with this channel for now. I do mix maybe only baseball with Korean baseball for the Korean content. But usually for now, I'm just doing a test. And plus, it's helping me get my last of my watch hours, which I need about 700 more. So by October, I'll get there. All right. So, yep, Dave, thank you. So everyone, thank you for coming to this live stream. Yep. And Bomb, yeah. Yeah. Well, you're my history teacher too. We're all everyone's a teacher here and everyone's a student at Bob. So thank you. So, all right. So stay safe. And yep, I will see you guys really soon. So have a good night. And yeah, no more escalators. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe next week I'll just walk on flat land, Roy. All right. Take care, everyone. I will see you soon. And